Okay, I'd like to thank Mines and Money for providing this opportunity to talk to you about Pure Minerals' exciting new project in Townsville. This project is not your traditional dig and deliver mining operation. It's a value-added business producing critical metals for the high-growth EV battery sector. However, it does have a mining component. We have a 15-year ore supply agreement with two of the major mining companies in New Caledonia. New Caledonia has a long and strong tradition of supplying high-quality nickel ores to major corporations such as POSCO and Sumitomo. For our project, the ore is shipped from New Caledonia to Queensland, where it will be processed and refined in a modern, clean technology, high efficiency, low capital intensity facility using off-the-shelf mineral processing equipment. The processing plant generates intermediate hydroxide precipitates, which are directly converted in a co-located refining plant to produce high purity metal chemicals for use in the battery sector. The model we have adopted for direct conversion of mixed hydroxide precipitate to sulfate metal battery chemicals will allow greater pricing independence for our products rather than the traditional payables linked to the refined metal price. Just a few days ago, Wood Mackenzie updated their forecast for nickel usage in the battery sector. It's great to see the fundamentals are still strong with an expected requirement of additional 800,000 tonnes per annum of nickel contained in nickel sulfate by 2035. That'll require a 36% increase in worldwide nickel demand. It's also good to see Woodmac forecasting continuation of premiums for nickel contained in nickel sulfate, particularly the high purity products. Similarly, Argus Consulting are forecasting an increased demand for cobalt in EVs of 80,000 tonnes per annum by 2030. We're operating in the right part of the world, and whilst the DRC produces 58% of the world's cobalt, Australia has the second largest demonstrated resource of cobalt behind the DRC. The OECD guidance for responsible supply chain management from conflict areas and high-risk areas puts Australian suppliers into the EV sector in a unique and advantageous position. The CAU are also forecasting strong demand for high purity alumina, or HPA, with almost 70% of their forecast lithium-ion battery separator market. The significant advantage that the Pure Minerals, or tech project, as we call it, has over other producers is our feedstock, the aluminium hydroxide. It's a co-product that has no value. And it has a 56% alumina equivalent compared to 30% for some of the projects using kaolin as a feedstock. The traditional approach of making HPA from refined aluminium metal, starting with bauxite, is very capital intensive and has the highest operating cost, of course. In March this year, we released our pre-feasibility for the tech project. 26,000 tonnes of nickel sulfate, about 3,100 tonnes of cobalt sulfate and 4,000 tonnes of HPA. In the key metric table shown on this slide, you'll see that we have used a base case nickel price of $7 and a spot case of $5.70. The EBITDA, or earnings before interest, tax and depreciation, for the spot case is over 200 million per annum. And the NPV, even at these low nickel spot prices, is still over 1 billion with a post-tax internal rate of return of about 25%. To set the project apart, you can see the value-added steps shown in the graph at the bottom right-hand side. The incremental EBITDA contribution for production from intermediate MHP is 52 million per annum. Nickel sulfate products adds another 79 million, and the final HPA product adds an additional 149 million per annum for a total project base case EBITDA of 261 million. Now, of course, all that depends on getting over the first hurdle of producing an intermediate MHP as a reliable feedstock. The tech project will be built in the Lansdowne Industrial Precinct, approximately 38 kilometres south of Townsville. The site has been rezoned for heavy industry, and it's has ideal access to the Flinders Highway, which happens to be a road train route right to the Townsville berth, so we can run very large trucks at lower shipping costs. The site has power, water, gas, railway line, and lots of open space, so it makes it an ideal location for locating the plant. And we have secured just a little over 400 hectares to build the processing plant. Ore from New Caledonia has been imported into Townsville since 1987. So all the approvals for moving ore across the port and along the road infrastructure already in place, and that allows us to bring the project online sooner than otherwise would be possible. A high priority for the project now is to complete the pilot plant, the CSIRO pilot plant over in WA, and you see by these photographs we're working hard at making all the modifications and upgrades to the plant. We expect to be finished those changes and ready to run the plant in September of this year. Over the last 12 months, we've managed to fast track the project, and we're very proud of our achievements. I'd like to acknowledge the major contribution from our partners, the Department of State Development, Federal Department of Industry, Development and Science, CSIRO, Direct Nickel Projects, to name a few. From the start of 2019, we've put some big runs on the board with negotiation of a ore supply contract, completion of pre-feasibility study. We were awarded a $2.6 million grant from the federal government, and we've secured a site to build the plant at the Lansdowne Industrial Precinct. So if we look at the timetable, remember this is in financial years, we expect to complete all the work, including running the pilot plant, signing off on market offtake, and making final investment decision by the middle of 2021. And there's about a 12 months build, so we would expect to be commissioning the plant in July 2022. So just in summary, the high-grade ore supply, the robust financials across a range of commodity prices, the clean technology, the ideal infrastructure at the Townsville site, battery market fundamentals and experience management are the key drivers for this project. Thanks very much, and certainly thanks to our shareholders, and thanks for listening to this background on our project.